The siege alarms wailed throughout the Galactic Academy as Commander Vel burst into the strategy hall. Students from 15 different species rushed toward evacuation pods in blind panic. Only one figure remained perfectly still at her terminal. Kira Rains. The human transfer student who had spoken exactly 4 words all semester. Deathworlder, Vel hissed, his scales flushing purple with fear. The Kragath Armada has broken orbit. We must evacuate immediately. Kira lifted her gaze from the cascading data streams reflected in her dark eyes. No, she said. That made 5 words. The structure trembled violently as plasma fire struck the shield generators, visible through the vast viewport. 300 enemy warships descended like a tightening iron ring. Every military analyst in the sector had already labeled the Academy indefensible. Every tactician had advised unconditional surrender. You don't understand, Vel insisted, mandibles clicking rapidly. The Kragath do not take prisoners. They strip entire worlds. This academy holds 2,000 students. I understand completely, Kira replied calmly, fingers gliding across holographic controls. That's why I'm staying. Professor Fane materialized in the doorway, his crystalline form refracting light into sharp geometric patterns. The human is correct, he said. I've reviewed her strategic simulation results. Vel turned sharply. She failed every exercise. Because your exercises are pointless, Kira said evenly, calling up 17 tactical displays at once. You teach warfare like a math equation. All variables known. All enemies predictable. Another impact shook the station. The shield grid flickered from blue to amber. Then what is war? Vel demanded, torn between authority and curiosity. Kira stood, and for the first time that semester, she smiled. It was not a comforting smile. War is fear, she said. War is convincing your enemy that attacking you costs more than walking away. Her hands moved with sudden, controlled violence across the console. Every communications array in the Academy activated at once, broadcasting on every frequency the Kragath fleet used. What flooded the channels was not a message. It was screaming. Raw, recorded audio from Kragath soldiers during past human conflicts. Titan Moon campaign, Kira explained flatly. Unfiltered. Untranslated. Pure terror. The Kragath formation hesitated. Kira wasn't finished. The Academy's defense grid, previously set to standard deterrence, reconfigured instantly. Mines, automated cannons, and countermeasures repositioned themselves into patterns that violated every accepted tactical doctrine. The Kragath study behavior, she continued, uploading tactical viruses into their reconnaissance feeds. They analyze risk versus reward. They assume defenders act rationally. And we don't. Professor Fane asked quietly. Humans don't. The mines detonated, not efficiently, not strategically, but in cascading chains that turned the orbital approach into a wall of nuclear fire. Wasteful. Glorious. Terrifying. The Kragath vanguard scattered, their disciplined formation collapsing. Kira pulled historical files onto the main display. The Battle of Terra. The Mumbai Stand. The Pacific Breach. They've faced us before, she said. They remember. Those memories streamed directly into the enemy fleet. Combat footage. Casualty statistics. Survivor testimonies from Kragath forces describing humans who should have died but didn't. Soldiers fighting with shattered bodies. Ships self-destructing rather than surrendering. Civilians turning cities into fortresses. The lesson was brutally simple. Deathworlders do not cost normal amounts to defeat. Commander Vel watched as the Kragath Armada, 300 ships strong, broke apart and fled at maximum velocity. An unstoppable force, retreating. You didn't teach them anything new, Vel whispered. Kira finally sat back down at her terminal. You're wrong, she said softly. I reminded them of something they already feared. Fear, Professor Fane repeated. It's the only universal language, Kira replied. The Kragath are logical beings. They calculated the cost of taking this academy. She paused. Then I showed them the real price. Professor Fane approached slowly, his crystalline form dimming. Your simulation scores were precisely what I hoped for. Kira didn't look up. Human strategy can't be taught to non-humans. It has to be discovered. And why is that? Vel asked. Because understanding it is terrifying. The shield grid stabilized. The alarms faded into silence. 2,000 students lived because one human understood that sometimes the strongest weapon isn't firepower, but memory. How many words have you spoken now? Vel asked carefully. Kira returned her attention to her work. Enough. The Kragith never returned. The academy quietly revised its curriculum. And Kira Rains went back to silence in class, because she had already said everything that mattered. Sometimes, the quietest voice delivers the loudest warning.